Hello everyone, this is part 1 of What If Naruto Was Born in the Uzumaki clan, and this story is made by the Black Wolf 501, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
The first thing he heard was the sound of a thunderous explosion. The entire ground shook terribly, the house in which he was sleeping shook as well. It was enough to destroy any sense of sleep from his body. Bolting from his bed, he quickly made his way towards the wardrobe of his room. Opening the wooden door, he quickly took out a dark black-colored shirt and blue-colored pants. The shirt had a spiral symbol on its back. He rapidly strapped the vest around his body, and strapped his kunai pouch on his thigh. Wrapping his green-colored tough flak jacket around his chest, he tied his headband around his right arm. Picking up a small, sharp tanto, he placed it on the cover strapped on his back. Stepping in front of the mirror, he was satisfied with the image he saw. Name: Naruto Uzumaki. Age: 13. Rank: Chunin. Ninja registration number: 24401. Affiliation: Azushiogakure, the Hidden Whirlpool Village. The young shinobi was nearly 5 feet 3 inches tall. He had long, silky dark red hair. One of his eyes was concealed by a long bang. He was extremely fair and had piercing blue-colored eyes. His body sported well-built muscles. A fine black-colored face mask concealed his identity. With one last glance at his reflection, he made his way towards the window. A moment later, the apartment was empty. The young Chunin was rapidly leaping through rooftops, his sensory powers clearly pointing towards a heated battle happening near the northern border of the village. The number of fighters engaged in battle were too many to count. That could only mean that they were under attack from another major hidden village. Or several of them. Nothing could be said for certain. The Third Great Ninja War had started a few months. While Azu had decided to stay neutral, it would be futile to deny the fact that it was on the hit list of every ninja village. After all, theirs was the technologically most advanced village. While small in size and population in comparison to the other major villages, it had ninjas that were more stronger and talented. But most of all, they had knowledge of many hidden arts that were not known to any of the villages. Particularly fuinjutsu, sealing arts. He didn't stop even when 2 more people arrived by his side. They easily matched with his pace and started accompanying him to the battle zone. One was a short, red-haired body who had dark purple-colored eyes. He was fair-skinned and was wearing the Chunin uniform. The Azu headband being proudly tied around his forehead. His hair were almost covering both of his eyes, and unlike Naruto, who was carrying a tanto, this boy was carrying a large scroll on his back. He had served beside this boy for the past 4 years, graduated the academy with him, was placed on the same genin team and went on to become a Chunin with him. It was fair to say Nagato Uzumaki was one of his closest and most trusted friends. The other person was a girl. Unlike the 2 redhead boys, she had light silver-colored hair, a rare trait in a village such as theirs. She was fair-skinned and had the body of a kunoichi. Her long, silky hair were tied in a ponytail. She was also wearing a Chunin vest, with a special insignia of field medic attached to her left arm. She had an angular face, and a smile that would make many young males fall for her. Yet despite her sexy looks, 13-year-old Akino Uzumaki was a deadly kunoichi. Like Nagato, she had also graduated together with Naruto, and had been on the same genin team. The trio had been promoted together to Chunin, and had performed many successful missions in the past. Naruto, what's going on? Asked Nagato. The boy sounded quite worried. Even nervous. We're being attacked, Nagato. This should be clear enough for you, scolded Akino, clear irritation and tension visible in her eyes. Why? Our village has absented from participating in the war, argued Nagato, sounding quite confused and a hint of betrayal seeping into his voice. I don't know. I just hope Konoha sends aid as soon as possible. There are just too many enemy forces for us to repel, and what troubles me is the fact that they managed to find the location of our village. Nobody in the past 60 years were unable to even get a hint of our location, said Akino. She took a rather forceful jump in frustration, cracking one of the rooftops. Focus on the task at hand first. The time for making assumptions will come later. Both the young arguing Chunins stared at their last teammate, the one who had stayed silent till now. It was extremely hard for them to understand even now that Naruto was actually Kushina Uzumaki's son. Considering how loud, boisterous the redhead woman was, her son was an entire different person. He was kind, friendly and deeply cared about his village and its citizens. Even went as far as calling each of them as his family. And at the same time, he was quite reserved as well. Naruto was one of the talented upcoming ninjas and had rapidly rose through the ranks due to his power. While Nagato was shy, Akeno was a hothead, Naruto was the rational head of their team. Unlike his mother, he had an uncanny habit of remaining composed even in the most difficult situations. A trait which he possibly inherited from his unknown father. Maybe it was the absence of a father in the boy's life that had transformed him into the person he was today. Kushina had never revealed the identity of Naruto's father, and inside a village which greatly valued parental lineage it directly made Naruto an outcast. Akeno could still remember when Naruto was bullied on this fact by his fellow students. At first the boy was quite disturbed, but over time he stopped caring about the jabs. Instead he decided to prove himself by becoming the strongest ninja of their village. An ambition he still followed till this day. Graduating at the top of his class, performing the maximum number of genin missions, many of them extremely dangerous, acting the Chunin tournament of their village, these were among the few notable achievements of the young boy. Yet he was not famous for these facts, but for another reputation. He never took prisoners. Their thoughts were interrupted when Naruto suddenly stopped. Wordlessly he knelt down and placed one of his fingers on the rooftop. Nagato and Akeno stopped as well. It was not a defined thing, and even if they all shared the same rank it was a mutually accepted fact that Naruto was the leader of their team. "I'm sensing several enemy platoons approaching from the east side," reported Naruto, his voice still calm. Yet one look in his eye and years of staying by his side was enough for his friends to see even he was disturbed with this revelation. The Uzukage had personally booby-trapped the entire area. "I don't think they'll get through, we should focus on the north sector where the real fight is going on," suggested Akeno, as Naruto shifted his gaze towards Nagato. Despite being talented, he valued the opinion of his comrades who also happened to be his best friends. "I think we should check the eastern side, just to be sure," said Nagato, his voice uncertain as a bead of sweat rolled down on his pale face. "I agree." Akeno asked Naruto, his piercing blue eyes asking the unsaid question. The silver-haired girl sighed. "Fine. I'll inform the Uzukage, then we'll go check it out," agreed Akeno, receiving a faint thankful smile from Naruto. One which she happily returned with a grin. A seal glowed on Nagato's right hand, as Akeno bit her thumb and wrote a coded message. A moment later the mark along with the blood disappeared, leaving no trace of its existence. "Done," said Nagato confidently. "Nice work. Let's go with D formation," suggested Naruto calmly, receiving two affirmative nods from his teammates. "Let's go." Naruto had an extremely worried expression on his face. Beside him, Akeno and Nagato were tightly clenching their fists, their eyes burning with anger. When they had arrived on the eastern borders of their village, they had not expected the enemy forces to be on the verge of breaking through nearly all the barriers. No matter how skilled ninjas the enemy had, it would be nearly impossible for them to break through the Uzumaki defenses. "It's as I feared," thought Naruto worriedly, not expressing his opinion out loud in order to keep his comrades focused. As right in front of him, he saw Mitsuo Uzumaki standing ahead of the large Kumo forces, his hands slowly disabling the various traps set by his own village. "Now we know why Mitsuo never reported back to the village. He was captured by the enemy," said Naruto frankly. "We should save him," said Nagato seriously, the boy sounding quite determined for a change. "I agree. He's one of our own, the enemy has definitely placed him under a genjutsu. Otherwise, he would have never done something like this," said Akeno passionately. "How should we do this?" asked Nagato quickly. "Stand down." The two Chunin were surprised when Naruto gave that order in a painful tone. Despite his face mask concealing his face, they could see he was gritting his teeth. He was holding a sharp kunai strapped with an explosive tag in his right hand. "Naruto," said Nagato worriedly. "What are you thinking?" asked Akeno uncertainly. "We can't save him, there are simply too many enemy forces surrounding him. And then there is that man," pointed Naruto. His comrades glanced in the direction he was pointing at. They froze. For there standing behind several Kumo soldiers was the Sandaime Reikage himself. The man was a beast, and was rumored to be the fastest and most physically strong ninja of their world. We may be able to eliminate the ninjas, grab Mitsuo, but we would never be able to outrun from the Reikage. All of us could definitely be killed, said Naruto sadly. But if we don't do something, Mitsuo will, said Nagato in a troubled voice. Akino saw the kunai in Naruto's hand trembling. The young boy was taking sharp breaths, and in that moment she knew what he was going to do. We have to stop Mitsuo, said Naruto bitterly. What? No, he's our comrade. We can't harm him, argued Nagato passionately. The boy seemed extremely shocked with what his friend had just suggested. There is no choice, Nagato, replied Akino compassionately, placing her hand over the shocked boy's arm. Naruto, we took an oath to protect our comrades, said Nagato tirelessly, and saw Naruto glancing away from his piercing gaze. In the past, many of our shinobi have died for the protection of the village. Neither we or Mitsuo are any different, said Naruto sadly. No, we can save him. Don't give up so easily, said Nagato furiously. Think about the village, Nagato. We cannot rescue Mitsuo without getting ourselves killed, and that would just further weaken the village in this desperate hour. Try to understand the situation, pleaded Naruto. But, do you trust me, Nagato? Asked Naruto calmly. Yes. Then follow my lead, requested Naruto. Nagato looked towards Akino, who gave a firm nod. He still had doubts, yet he trusted Naruto enough to do the right thing. He reluctantly consented, earning a relieved smile from Naruto. Naruto focused his vision. A few seconds later he threw the kunai. The weapon sped through the air at great speed, and landed several meters away from Mitsuo. The Kumo forces became alert and took defensive formations, and it was that moment when the explosive tag attached on the kunai went off. Boom. Mitsuo was sent sailing away due to the shock wave released from the explosion. He crashed in the nearby bushes with a small thud. Despite the injury, Akino sensed the man was still breathing. Just completely knocked out. The two of them stared at Naruto, who had a satisfied smile on his face. Then the boy did something unexpected. Rising out of his cover in the trees, Naruto suddenly made himself visible to the surprised Kumo forces. The boy gave them a straight middle finger. Worthless jarheads, taunted Naruto. Akino and Nagato stared at their friend in surprise. Naruto literally grabbed them by the collar the next second and started running away. There were several angry shouts from the now enraged enemy troops, who had launched themselves in hot pursuit. The three Azuchunin smirked when the Kumo forces started getting hit by the hidden traps set by the Azukage. With Mitsuo completely out of commission, it would be quite time-consuming for them to break through. And it would cost them many lives. Nagato smiled proudly as he followed Naruto, with a grinning Akino right beside him. They may have been unable to rescue their comrade, but they didn't kill him and also bought time for their village to prepare further countermeasures. You upheld your oath of protecting your comrades and the village at the same time, Naruto, thought Akino fondly. Guys, we're being summoned back to the cage tower. Katsuro-sama wants to meet us urgently, informed Nagato, correctly reading the message which had appeared through a seal on his arm. Naruto and Akino exchanged quick nods. Orders, acknowledged, said Naruto seriously. The atmosphere in the war room was extremely grim. Naruto, Nagato and Akino crisply stood in a corner of the room along with several young Chunin of their age. All of them seemed quite anxious, even nervous, their eyes fixed on the form of their Azukage, who was currently going through the situation assessment with the top Chunin of the village. Naruto was not an expert in tactical warfare, but so far he could see three very large red pieces surrounding his village. Kumo is the first one, then Kiri will definitely be the second. They have always envied us, but who could be the third? Suna is too far to launch such an attack. Konoha wouldn't attack us or risk losing Kar-chan's loyalty, and we all know how important she is to the citizens of the Fire Nation. That would only leave Iwa. I knew Onoki was crazy, but would he really go this far? Thought Naruto worriedly. It was quite difficult for him to accept that three rival hidden villages who had just started fighting against each other again, had suddenly united against his small nation. Naruto. He was brought out of his troubled thoughts when someone called for him. Akino nudged him and he saw it was none other than the Azukage himself. Katsuro Uzumaki was a 50-year-old veteran ninja. He had been through the first two great ninja wars, and had shared close ties with both Hashirama and Tobirama Senju. The man's prowess in Fuinjutsu was enough to even make the 5 Kages accept him as an equally powerful warrior. He was also the one who had helped in transferring the Kyuubi back into Kushina, when Mito Uzumaki, the first container of the 9 tails, neared the end of her life. Naruto stepped before his leader and knelt before him. I assume you understand the situation, Naruto, said Katsuro kindly, in a grandfatherly voice. The enemy forces have us outnumbered and surrounded. But we can defeat them, we are with you. All of us, Katsuro-sama, replied Naruto confidently. The veteran Kage and his aide glanced around the room and received proud nods from the young teen Chunins. It only lifted the Kage's shoulders proudly, as he placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. This is the will of Azu, which burns brightly in all of you. I want you all to carry it with you for the rest of their lives, advised Katsuro kindly, and was not surprised when Naruto looked at him defiantly. We can fight. Send us to the front line, and we will crush the enemy for the village, promised Naruto. Every young Chunin nodded seriously. I have no doubt about your skills and bravery. But we are heavily outnumbered, and I won't send all younglings to their deaths. It is also our duty to protect the civilians. If I send every fighter to the front, who will protect them if the enemy breaks through? Asked Katsuro patiently. What about support from Konoha? Asked Nagato hopefully, and saw the disappointment in his leader's eyes. I have sent word to Kushina a few hours ago. But we are yet to receive response, but I know they shall come to our aid, reassured Katsuro. He was satisfied when many of his Chunins sighed in relief. Yet Naruto stared at him blankly. Please tell us the real situation, Katsuro-sama, requested Naruto, making the older man smile a little. You were always too observant, Naruto. How bad is it? Asked Akino worriedly. The Kage took in a deep breath. Azu will fall, confessed the Kage. Shocked gasps were heard across the room, many of them Chunin went pale with fear. Akino saw Nagato was on the verge of tears, and even she herself was no better. Then I'll stay behind with the other veteran ninja. Katsuro-sama, you and the others escape as soon as possible, said Naruto confidently, his eyes calm and determination burning brightly in them. Before the touched Kage could even speak, almost every other young Chunin stepped forward and knelt beside Naruto. We'll try to buy as much time as possible, promised Akino. Just get the civilians and our families to safety, requested Nagato politely. The boy was actually calm for a change. Everyone, said Katsuro, a lone tear falling from his eye. Azu is not the bricks or walls of the village, but the people. We may lose our homeland, but as long as our people live on, there can be a future for them. But they will need a leader like you to guide and protect them. We are expendable, and as long as each of us draws breath, we'll fight to give you that future, promised Naruto. Pin-drop silence prevailed in the war room, as the shocked Kage and his aide looked at all the Chunin. Not even one of them backed away, all of them proudly standing behind the form of Naruto. That's where you're wrong, Naruto, said Katsuro kindly, and placed his hands around Naruto's shoulders, making the boy stand up. The other Chunin also followed the action. I don't understand. We're just Chunin, our lives are not as valuable as yours. We want to defend our people, insisted Naruto. You're talented, Naruto, but you have much to learn. All of you are the best warriors in the elemental nations. But it does not change the fact that the enemy has us outnumbered and surrounded. More than that, there are 3 powerful Kages leading the charge. Even all of you combined cannot face one veteran Kage, explained Katsuro briefly, making many young teens flinch. But, protested Naruto, the children are the future of any civilization. If I let our children sacrifice themselves, then I will be betraying our entire family and will never be able to face my ancestors, much less forgive myself. I am proud to have soldiers like you, and it gives me hope for the future. I want you all to divide yourselves into small teams. Each team shall take a small contingent of civilians with them. Old men, women, and children. You will take different routes and lead our people into Fire Nation. I've sent word to the Hokage. You all will be given shelter in Konoha, explained Katsuro, and saw some tension vanishing from many of the teens' faces. Can we trust them? Asked Naruto skeptically. I know Hiruzen Sarutobi. Despite our differences, he is an honorable man. Kushina will help our people in settling down. When the situation is resolved and if I'm alive, then we shall think about regaining our lost territory. Until then, we must protect our people at all costs, said Katsuro seriously. I won't abandon you, said Naruto stubbornly, making the old Kage chuckle fondly. The Uzukage placed a firm hand on Naruto's shoulder and gave him a reassuring smile. Have some faith in me, son. Besides, Kushina will kill me if I let you participate in such a suicidal battle which is still beyond your league, said Katsuro kindly, making the others chuckle. Naruto remained stoic. I am a shinobi and old enough to make my own decisions. Please, let me fight beside your side, pleaded Naruto. Ah, the good old rebellious teen. What interesting lives they live, thought Katsuro fondly. Try to look at the situation rationally rather than emotionally, Naruto. I'm sure you will understand, and if that is not enough to make you understand, then consider this an order from your cage. Protect the civilians and get them to Konoha, no matter the cost, said Katsuro sternly. Naruto's fists clenched tightly, as he glared at his leader. Much to the surprise of his fellow Chunin, yet Katsuro simply smiled. I can't run away like this, said Naruto aggressively. You're not running away, Naruto. You are simply making a strategic retreat to protect the civilians. Once the situation is under control, we will take the fight back to the enemy. Don't be so eager to die, son. You're still young, your time will come, advised Katsuro patiently. I kneel. Naruto blinked. So did the others. Regardless, they quickly obeyed their leader's orders and knelt before him. The old cage's wrinkled face still shined brightly, his bright red hair flowing in the air. His bulky figure looming over them as the old man took out his sword and placed it on Naruto's shoulder. Be without fear in the face of your enemies. Be brave and kind, so that our ancestors may love you. Strive for truth and peace, even if it leads to your end. Safeguard the helpless and oppose the wicked, that is your oath. Slap. The old cage inflicted a tight slap on Naruto's cheek, leaving a bright red mark behind as the boy looked at him in surprise. The cage smirked. And that is so you remember it, said Katsuro with a chuckle. The old man slowly made Naruto stand up, with the other Chunin following suit. Rise a guardian, finished Katsuro proudly. He smiled when all the Chunin gave him crisp, devoted salutes. Naruto included, even as a lone tear slipped from the boy's eyes. One of the cage's aides gave a scroll to a curious Nagato, and soon enough the Chunin quickly started to exit the room in order to carry out their mission. Naruto, Nagato and Akino also started to run towards the exit, when the Uzukage's voice stopped them. Turning around, they were surprised to see the cage giving him a crisp salute. I leave the Uzumaki to you. Protect them, said Katsuro proudly. In return, the three youngsters shifted their attention and looked the brave cage straight in the eye. We will. Naruto stared at the burning form of his dear village, and the hundreds of enemy fighters pouring inside his home. Beside him Nagato had tears in his eyes, while Akino and a few other Chunin had their fists clenched, anger and sadness burning in their eyes. He blinked away the tears that threatened to spill from his eyes. Taking a deep breath and remembering his oath he made to Katsuro, he turned towards his ninjas and the nearly 250 civilians whom they were assigned to protect and transport to Konoha. Many of them were crying, several were trembling with fear and anxiety, some were just sitting defeatedly waiting for death. All of them were surprised when Naruto stepped forward, his young, determined eyes staring right into the defeated gazes. You all think we're the unlucky ones, don't you? We have lost our home, our leader, our families. Limited supplies, limited people, and stranded deep inside enemy lines. Maybe it would have been better for us to die quickly, beside our warriors and our Uzukage instead of dying out here slowly. Where shall we go? What shall we do? Said Naruto loudly. Akino gasped in horror on hearing what Naruto was saying. Nagato flinched on seeing how further depressed the civilians and even their few ninjas were becoming. Centuries ago our forefathers founded our Uzumaki clan. They too were attacked like us, they too had their homes taken away, yet they fought on. They never gave up hope, they gave us our future through their sacrifice. Look around you, at your kids, at the person beside you. If you want to die, then I will gladly walk with you back towards the enemy forces and we can die honorable deaths. Or we can fight on. We can show our enemies that we are not defeated, that the Uzumaki can never be defeated as long as even one of us remains. On the memory of our ancestors, our beloved cage, our martyred friends and families, I, Naruto Uzumaki, pledge to find us a new home, declared Naruto. The young Chunin looked his people in the eye, and walked between them. The journey won't be easy, we shall face many hardships, but we will rebuild our home, our family. We will not give up, said Naruto proudly. The boy stood at attention and gave a crisp salute to his people. So say we all. Akeno and Nagato stepped beside Naruto, stood beside their friend shoulder to shoulder and saluted their people. So say we all. The remaining ninjas rallied behind Naruto one after another, and yelled in proud, determined voices. The civilians also rose back to their feet and proudly looked at their new leader. So say we all. So say we all. So say we all. So say we all. The Uzumaki Chronicles had just begun. Akeno sat atop a branch of a tall tree. Her gaze fixed between the perimeter they had created and her group of civilians as well as few remaining Azu ninjas. It was nearly evening, and their people seemed to be relaxing a little. Not that she could blame them, since the past few days had been extremely hard. Even brutal. Escaping from Azu had not been easy, the enemy forces were hell-bent on killing every last Uzumaki who resisted. Those who wanted to surrender would only be turned into slaves. The group had gone through many hardships. Lack of food, water, sleep and loads of fatigue were the most noticeable ones. To her surprise, Naruto had taken over the role of the leader of the group. Although, he didn't have much of a choice in that matter since none of the other ninjas were willing to take the lead. Yet that decision turned out to be the right one. So far Naruto's calm, collected attitude was the only reason the civilians had not panicked and done something crazy. Yet she knew something was going inside her friend's mind. The way his eyebrows furrowed up, the manner in which he cynically listened to anything relating to Konoha, his constant alert attitude even when they all entered Fire Nation made her arrive at a disturbing conclusion. Naruto didn't trust Konoha, and she couldn't understand why. She was interrupted from her thoughts when Noda, a fellow Chunin, tapped her shoulder. Both of them exchanged firm nods, and a faint smile came on Akeno's lips as her guard shift was finished. Hopping off the tall tree, she marched towards the only person who could answer the stupid question that was plaguing her heart. She raised an eyebrow when she saw Nagato and Naruto standing there. The boys seemed to be discussing something while looking at the map placed on the ground before them. I want you to set up barriers here, here and here. Traps should be set in every direction. And I want 4 scouts to patrol the perimeter for shifts of 2 hours each. Then the next group will take watch. Can you make that happen, Nagato? Asked Naruto seriously. Yeah, I can. But, don't you think you're being overly cautious? Asked Nagato hesitantly. He's right. We've shaken off the enemy forces in pursuit and now we're in Fire Nation's borders. We're safe for the moment, chimed Akeno, as she arrived beside her 2 comrades. Don't be naive, Akeno. We'll never be safe, said Naruto harshly, his stone-cold eyes staring into her own. The Azukage said that he has already sent word to the Hokage. We have, argued Nagato. Katsuro-sama is dead, and dead men have no rights, said Naruto flatly, making his 2 friends flinch. How can you say that? He could still be alive, said Nagato hesitantly, making Naruto sigh. You are free to believe what you want, Nagato. But it doesn't change reality, and deep down you know it, replied Naruto coldly. Nagato took a step forward, but was stopped when Akeno stepped between them. Placing her hand on Nagato's chest, she shook her head. Naruto didn't react to the action. With a frustrated sigh, Nagato walked away, leaving his 2 friends alone. He better carry out the orders I gave him. Or we'll all end up dead, said Naruto, as he focused back on the map. You know he will. Naruto, you don't have to be so hard on him. Nagato is just, suggested Anko, not finding the right words as Naruto looked at her. He still believes in something. A luxury I can't afford, replied Naruto. For the first time, Akeno clearly saw the dark marks beneath Naruto's eyes and how his eyes would sometimes blink slowly. When did you sleep last? Asked Akeno worriedly, placing her hand on Naruto's cheek. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Akeno growled. Grabbing him by the collar of his shirt, she slammed him straight into a nearby tree. Her angry eyes connected with his surprised ones. They stayed like that for a long time. Nothing was said, yet she saw it all in his eyes. They're all dead, whispered Naruto. She wrapped her arms around him the next second. Her tears had long since dried up, yet the sadness remained everlasting in her heart. And Akeno knew the boy in her arms felt the same feeling. She was relieved when he hesitantly hugged her back. We'll make it through this. All of us, I promise, said Akeno soothingly. I never asked to be leader. I don't know how can I keep everyone safe, confessed Naruto, making her smile. You got us this far without losing anyone. I'd say that's a pretty good start, and more than anything the rest of us could have done in your situation, said Akino proudly. Naruto leaned back and looked the silver-haired girl straight in the eye. He grasped her cheeks with his hands, and spoke in a soft voice. We shouldn't go to Konoha, said Naruto hesitantly. Why? Asked Akino patiently. I can't give you a solid reason. I've got this feeling in my gut, please Akino. You have to trust me, requested Naruto, as she caressed his cheek. I do trust you, but where can we go if not Konoha? Anywhere but there. Akino smiled. It's about her, isn't it? Asked the silver-haired girl, making Naruto look away. There is that too. But this is not just about her, we can't trust Konoha. Where the hell were they when our village was attacked? Why didn't they send help when we called? Why did Kushina ignore our SOS? The answer is simple, they didn't bother, said Naruto harshly. You don't know that. And your mother will never abandon you to die, insisted Akino, as Naruto laughed. Like she didn't abandon me my entire life. Akino grimaced. No matter what she wanted to say, it could never change the fact that despite having parents Naruto grew up as an orphan. She had heard the story of a young Kushina leaving her infant son in a zoo. The Azukage was the one who looked after Naruto, and the villagers were at the most cordial towards Naruto. He had been alone from the start. There would be regular letters from Kushina, which Naruto replied to at first. But on realizing that his mother was never going to visit him, he just stopped. From then on, he made his own way. Learning everything on his own, becoming a ninja, a strong fighter. But in doing all that, he stopped becoming less and less attached with people. Even now, he wanted to protect their surviving clan members because it was a mission and he cared about them to some extent. But he barely knew even a handful of them. Naruto only trusted very few people, and fortunately she was one of them. But he didn't trust a mother who was never there, because for all he knew Kushina could not even be his mother. And it would be a cold day in hell before he trusted Konoha. The village that was at least partially responsible for his messed up life, the one that took his mother away, and the nation that definitely turned its back when Azu needed them most. But they had nowhere else to go. And it made her realize something. You're not coming to Konoha, are you? Asked Akino knowingly, making him smile a little. You know me, replied Naruto with a shrug. Naruto. I'll get the civilians to Konoha and complete my mission. Then I'll leave, confessed Naruto. And go where? Asked Akino irritatedly. Anywhere but Konoha. The world is a large place, I'm sure I'll find my spot, said Naruto coolly. There is a world war going on, Naruto, argued Akino, and was surprised on seeing his determined gaze. I am a loyal ninja of Uzumaki. I would rather die than swear my loyalty to any other village, not even Konoha. And I have my own goal, said Naruto confidently. What is that? I want to recreate Azu, said Naruto proudly. Akino was shocked. It had taken the entirety of the Uzumaki clan to create their village, and that was too before the shinobi nations were formed. And now there were barely a few hundred of them left, out of which barely 50 were ninjas. How could he possibly even dream of such an impossible thing? It's impossible, said Akino in disbelief. So you say. But I will prove you wrong, replied Naruto stubbornly. There can be no peace in this war-torn world, Naruto, said Akino sadly, and took a step back when she saw a dangerous fire burning in his eyes. Nagato, who had been silently listening to the conversation from his cover behind a tree, was also intrigued by the determination that was present in Naruto's eyes. To stop this fighting, I'll become the god of this world. With those words, Naruto picked up his tanto and started walking away. Nagato, stop hiding. Grieving and crying won't change anything, the only thing we need to accomplish our desires is power, said Naruto harshly. Akino was stunned. She could not even say a word when Nagato emerged from his hiding spot and quickly joined Naruto. The two boys exchanged firm nods and turned towards their female teammate. We're going to scout the eastern route. Can you keep things under control until we return? Asked Naruto seriously. Nakamura and Todo's groups were going to meet us there. We'll check if they are there or not, said Nagato, getting a nod in return. All right. Be careful you two. She only received 2 cocky smirks in return. Nagato had been silently following his friend for the past half an hour. Neither of them had said anything to each other, and the only sound that was made was the occasional thunk when their feet connected with the branches as both of them hopped from tree to tree. Konoha had also entered the Third Great Ninja War, as such most of their shinobi were on the front lines. Thankfully it only allowed the Uzumaki to move a little freely. At least according to Naruto. Did you really mean it? Asked Nagato, making his masked friend look back. Yes. Nagato smirked. It was just like Naruto to answer questions like these with minimum words. How will you bring peace for all of us which Katsuro-sama wanted? Asked Nagato curiously. I don't know how as of yet, Nagato. But I believe that if I give it my all then it can be achieved. I just have to believe in it. What about you? Questioned Naruto. You're my best friend, Naruto. We've had each other's backs for as long as I remember. If you believe that going to Konoha is not the right choice, then I'll follow you wherever you go, said Nagato contentedly. Just like that, said Naruto curiously, making Nagato give him a cheeky smile. I'm the only one who can keep up with your stick up your ass attitude, deadpanned Nagato. His friend smiled a little. Ass. Nagato smiled on hearing that remark, knowing it was said with affection. As they continued their journey, he heard something which Naruto rarely said to anyone. I'm lucky to have friends like you. A wide smile came on Nagato's face as he stepped beside Naruto. None of them said another word, and silently continued their journey knowing how precious they were to each other. Having fought for the same nation, been on the same team, saved each other's lives, held each other in dire moments, butted heads over simple things, and gone through the same pain. However, the smile disappeared from the boy's face when he sensed something disturbing. Frantically, he activated the seal on his arm and was alarmed when he didn't get any response in return. Naruto, warned Nagato. I know, replied Naruto tersely. The two of them madly dashed towards the rendezvous location where they were supposed to meet with the remaining two group of survivors who had escaped from a zoo. Nagato stopped dead in his tracks, his eyes widened as a shocked gasp escaped from his lips. No, 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 repeated Naruto in a panicked voice, completely losing his calm demeanor which he had managed to maintain till now. Both of them painfully stared at the bodies of nearly 400 clansmen of theirs. The entire Uzumaki camp was on fire, with bodies scattered everywhere. The green grass had turned blood red, trees and bushes destroyed by the heavy fighting. Weapons lay scattered everywhere, with some still being held by their former users. Naruto quickly rushed towards the right side, Nagato followed him. Together they came across Nakamura who was barely breathing. Nagato, first aid, said Naruto quickly, as Nagato took out his pouch while his friend knelt down to take the injured young Chunin in his arms. Save it, Naruto. It's too late. 4 me, replied Nakamura, coughing up blood. Naruto tried to block the blood flow from the rather large hole in his comrade's stomach, but he was not a medic. And his comrade was too badly injured to be saved. Who did this? Asked Nagato sadly, as he knelt down and grasped the dying 12-year-old's arm. I don't know. They suddenly ambushed us. It was chaos. They were too fast. We couldn't see them, confessed Nakamura. They killed everyone? Asked Naruto furiously. Almost. Naruto, they took the children. I couldn't save them. I'm so. Naruto gasped when the injured boy collapsed in his arms, his eyes closing forever. Nagato gently helped in laying the corpse respectfully back towards the ground and placing the dead boy's sword back in his hands. He saw Naruto quickly wiping away his tears, yet the anger and pain only seemed to be increasing with every passing second. Nagato looked around his massacred people, and only one thought came to his mind. To come this far only to, thought Nagato sadly. Nagato, we need to go, said Naruto painfully. We should bury them, Naruto, requested Nagato, and saw the regret in his friend's eyes. There is nothing more we can do for them right now. But we do need to protect our group, let's go, insisted Naruto. Realization dawned on Nagato as he instantly got back on his feet, and both of them started dashing back towards their own group to warn their remaining comrades. The ones who were now the last of the Uzumaki left in the world. Naruto froze. His hands were shaking, legs were trembling, his heart beating madly, eyes flickering from one direction to another. Beside him, Nagato had collapsed on his knees and was openly crying. For there lay in front of them another massacre. Men, women, old people all killed. The same devastation that had rained down on the previous Uzumaki groups had occurred to their own people. Someone had systematically attacked them, wiping out every Uzu ninja brutally. And there was no sign of Akeno anywhere, along with the children of their camp. Naruto quickly took out his tanto, deflecting a hail of sharp kunai that would have killed him and Nagato. His last friend quickly took position behind Naruto's back, his eyes now sharply scanning their surroundings. To their shock, they saw human shadows emerge from every direction. Why didn't we sense them? Asked Nagato worriedly. The only ones skilled enough to evade our sensory powers could be Anbu, said Naruto darkly. He was proven right when several ninjas dressed in Anbu uniform emerged from the trees, bushes, ground, water. There were so many of them, their swords still stained with the blood of all the Uzumaki they had previously killed. Not even one of them made a sound, even as they surrounded the two boys from all sides. Get me the shorter one. He can still be of use, instructed a cold voice. Naruto looked up to see another Anbu standing on top of one of the trees. His face covered also by an animal mask like his minions. A large sword being strapped on his back. What Naruto didn't fail to miss was the man's eye on Nagato. Did you kill my people? Asked Naruto icily. So, you're the leader of this group. What a failure you are as a shinobi, taunted the veteran Anbu. Why did you do this? Asked Nagato in a broken voice. For the future of the hidden leaf, the Uzumaki must be processed, answered the man calmly. You butchered innocent civilians. We were your allies, you bastard. Yelled Nagato in a betrayed voice, tears freely falling from his face. There is no such thing as allies in this ninja world. If you were a true ninja, then you would have understood that no sane village would spend their resources after civilians. Uzu did this foolish mistake, and paid for it, replied the Anbu coldly. You gave those villages the location of our home. Konoha betrayed us, said Naruto icily, his grip on the tanto tightening even as the Anbu neared towards him. Your alliance was too costly for our village. Giving you hundreds of yen every year, along with food, medical supplies was too worthless. Instead we can use these same supplies to establish our dominance over the world. The remaining Uzumaki children will also lead meaningful lives while serving Konoha. I give you the same choice, suggested the Anbu leader. Who are you? Asked Nagato. That seemed to have destroyed any patience left in the Anbu leader. He simply gave a nod, and the next second Naruto froze when two Anbus appeared right in front of him. Naruto slowly opened his eyes and saw Nagato had placed himself between the two Anbu and his last friend. Two large slashes had appeared across the boy's chest as he stared at Naruto with painful eyes. Run! Nagato collapsed. The Anbu surrounded the trembling boy from all sides, their weapons raised to strike as their leader gave a nod. Naruto's terrified eyes were still fixed on Nagato's unmoving form, his body motionless, eyes closed, a pool of blood forming beneath him drenching the green grass. Memories of Uzu's destruction, the massacre of his people, Akeno's smiling face, Nagato's promise and finally this. The Anbu leader's eyes widened and he swiftly jumped several feet away. On the ground, he saw his soldiers desperately grasping their throats. Some were trying to cover the holes that had appeared across their bodies. A few literally got blasted to little pieces. The young Uzumaki was robotically standing on his feet, his eyes turned completely black. Dark layers of energy were swirling around the body. Grasses started to wither, trees began to decay, the dead bodies everywhere started getting deforming to mere bones. You're the Kyuubi Jinchuriki's child. To think she lied to us, said the Anbu leader bitterly. Another group of Anbu who had previously stayed hidden arrived by their leader's side, forming a protective barrier around the man. Their eyes still staring at the freaky boy who was massacring the Anbu on the ground mercilessly. What should we do, sir? Asked one Anbu. This energy spike will definitely alert Konoha's barrier teams. The Hokage will have his best men on the way. Immediately go to phase 2, instructed the Anbu leader. What should we do about the boy? Asked the young Anbu again. Leave him. We don't know any possible countermeasures to be used against a Maiten, Dark Release, user, nor do we have the time to find out. Besides, he seems to have no control over his powers and is lashing out like a cornered animal. We'll retreat for now, and capture him next time. He will be a valuable asset to our village, instructed the Anbu leader. We already captured most of the Uzumaki children. The rest of the people were simply of no use to us, said the Anbu leader. You made the right call, sir. Azu was becoming too much of a liability for us to bear. Through your guidance we were not only able to eliminate a potential threat, but also saved resources and recruited potential assets for our village. We'll handle the cleanup, replied the young Anbu, receiving nods from his fellow comrades. Together they all joined their swords and said in clear voices. For Konoha, Naruto groggily opened his eyes when he felt something hitting the side of his head. At first the sunlight blinded him for a moment, but slowly his vision adjusted according to the environment and he spotted a large shade of red. Another few moments of trying to clear his vision made him finally see a mop of dark red hair. You made it, said Naruto tiredly. Nagato only gave him a sad nod as he helped his friend get back on his feet. He was surprised when Naruto gave him a short hug. The only thing Nagato could do was place a comforting hand on his friend's shoulder. Told you my healing powers are better than yours, said Nagato calmly, his voice heavy with grief. For a moment, I thought, replied Naruto hesitantly, getting a nod from his friend. We were an assassination squad, Naruto. All of us know how to maintain stealth, and besides my supposed fake death was enough to save the both of us from those Anbu squads, suggested Nagato, not proud of his actions but he did what was necessary for both of their survival. I don't remember, said Naruto worriedly, as Nagato placed a hand on his shoulder. It's better this way, Naruto. You really don't want to know what happened when you unleashed your dark powers, replied Nagato compassionately. I killed them all, didn't I? It was not a question but a statement. One which Nagato had to reluctantly agree with. Brutally, confessed Nagato. I see, was Naruto's only reply. What do we do now, Naruto? Asked Nagato seriously. The former team leader went silent for a few moments, but it wasn't long before he looked his friend straight in the eye. I want to go after our captured people, said Naruto, determination burning in his voice. It's suicide, Naruto. We were no match for those Anbu, and besides there aren't many of us left to rescue. Akeno too. Slap. She's alive, and unless I see her cold, dead corpse I am not giving up on her. And neither am I giving up on the innocent Uzumaki children, only Kami knows what those Konoha bastards would do to them, said Naruto worriedly, as Nagato caressed his now reddened cheek. We should have listened to you. We should have never came here, it's over. It's all over now, declared Nagato depressingly. It isn't over until I say it's over, yelled Naruto furiously. Nagato was startled, he couldn't believe the raw anger that was burning in his friend's eyes. The desire to retaliate was eating Naruto from the inside. I can't, confessed Nagato, the fear he felt on being surrounded by those Anbu again, he was just a chunin, for Kami's sake. The only reason you don't want to go after our comrades is because you lack conviction, spat Naruto, receiving a sharp glare from his friend. And the only reason I couldn't keep them safe in the first place was because I was weak, confessed Naruto, reducing the glare Nagato was giving him. We'll die, Naruto, said Nagato hesitantly. Maybe. Why are you so damn stubborn? Asked Nagato bitterly, and saw Naruto turn away from him. Because Akeno and those few remaining children are the only reason left for me to exist. My parents abandoned me, but the Uzumaki are the only family I have left. And I will do anything to protect them, said Naruto in a heavy voice, and Nagato was not sure but he saw a small tear fall from the usually calm Naruto's eye. What if you fail? Questioned Nagato. Then I'll just die. But until then, I will keep on fighting. Because I am a warrior, not a sheep. And with those words, Naruto took off leaving a stunned Nagato behind. Naruto furiously leapt through the unending forests of Fire Nation. A smirk came on his face as he spotted another person arriving beside him. And he looked quite displeased. Took you long enough, scolded Naruto, receiving a mock glare from Nagato. You're crazy, said Nagato mildly, making his friend smirk. Wouldn't be the first time. Somehow, that made Nagato smile a little. So, what's the plan? How will we find out where they have taken our people? Or do you just plan to roam aimlessly until you stumble upon a trail? Asked Nagato irritatedly, since he had to run quite a few miles to catch up with his friend and team leader. Already done. When we fled from a zoo, I carefully planted hidden tracker seals on the children. Those little shits often get lost, so I took that precautionary measure to keep them safe. Who knew it would become so useful now, explained Naruto, as Nagato raised his eyebrows. I didn't know that, said Nagato flatly, as his friend looked ahead. It was a classified information. Only need to know basis, clarified Naruto stoically. And who needed to know? Asked Nagato knowingly. Nobody. Just me. Nagato sighed. This was just like Naruto, making plans by himself. Not that he could say anything in this case since that move was helping him right now. It were times like these that made him wish Akano was here, she was the only one who could truly understand Naruto. Maybe that was the reason Naruto was so hell-bent on saving their captured people. Or maybe he really cared. It was extremely hard to make conclusions when it came to Naruto, and even after all these years Nagato couldn't truly understand his best friend. Are you going to use your dark powers? Asked Nagato worriedly. Yes, said Naruto coldly. But you can't fully control them, said Nagato worriedly. Katsuro-sama was always teaching me new tricks to use my power for good. I haven't mastered them, but it should be enough to help us in a fight, said Naruto confidently. I still don't understand your powers, replied Nagato sheepishly, making Naruto shrug. Consider them a harmful side effect for being the child of a Jinchuriki. Another one of my mother's great gifts to me, said Naruto sarcastically. You don't miss her, Naruto? Asked Nagato hesitantly. Never knew in her the first place. All I had for a mother my entire life was a picture and few letters, and I don't care where she is or even if she is alive or dead, said Naruto icily. You don't mean that, argued Nagato, making his friend sigh tiredly. My case is different than yours, Nagato. You knew your parents, they loved you and cared for you unlike mine. And they were honorable ninjas who sacrificed their lives for the village, explained Naruto patiently. What about your father? Asked Nagato hopefully. Don't know, don't care, said Naruto coolly. Nagato merely shook his head. It was a futile effort to understand Naruto's attitude towards his blood family. He could only pray they never met face to face, or risk inviting a disaster. A seal glowed brightly on Naruto's hand, as he gave the signal to stop. Both boys quickly took cover in the lush green trees, as Naruto performed a set of hand seals and gently placed his hand on the bark of the tall tree he was hiding in. Nagato did the same. Can you feel them? Asked Naruto seriously. Yes. They're close, possibly underground, confirmed Nagato. Appears to be a large enemy base. Several mazes, we'll have to use our sensory powers at all times or risk getting lost, suggested Nagato. You're right. We do this quietly or risk getting ambushed again. Agreed. Questioned Naruto. Agreed, replied Nagato. Bring out SGE, instructed Naruto, still keeping his eyes closed. His senses honed towards the nearby enemy base. Nagato wordlessly brought forward the large scroll on his back, performed a few hand seals, and opened it by spreading a small amount of his own blood on the scroll's surface. Naruto quickly joined by his side, as both boys started gearing up. They were ambushed previously by hunters a few hours ago, and now it was time for the hunter to be hunted. Nagato felt quite nervous. While it was not the first time he was doing something like this, it still made him feel a little uneasy. The reason for this was his entire body being invisible to the naked eye. Well, not entirely. Documento, dark cloak. As soon as Naruto had whispered those words, the light around them had dimmed completely. Even the bright sun shining in the sky was not able to cast its light on the two boys, as the shadows of darkness had completely enveloped them. He saw Naruto concentrating deeply in order to solidify his mysterious jutsu, and it was costing his friend a lot of energy. Both physically and mentally. The Uzumaki had once told Nagato and Akano that their teammate was perhaps the most darkest ninja in the world. Not because of his personality, but due to his powers. Maten, Dark Release. A power which was yet to be understood by their world. Possibly Naruto was the first to wield it. Kushina Uzumaki, who was Naruto's mother, was also the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. While she never revealed the name of Naruto's father, she did reveal an incident when the Nine Tails seal almost broke. During one of her vacations, she was on a holiday with her supposed lover. The Kumo shinobi had tried to capture her again, and this had made her quite angry as she had suffered a similar attempt when she was a child. She had remembered how helpless she had been, and how badly the Kumo ninja had treated her. The raw anger had exploded, and not only did she brutally slaughter the Kumo team, but the nine-tailed seal also nearly broke. Unfortunately, Kushina was with child at the time. Her body was overloaded with malicious nine-tails chakra, which also managed to affect her son, who was still forming inside her womb. The sudden biological attack on young Naruto's still growing form corrupted more than half of his chakra pathways and the network entirely. The tailed beasts were in the end beings made up of chakra and mysterious energy, and were rumored to also possess varied emotions. One tail had bloodlust, and the nine tails indirectly granted Naruto this power. But it came at a severe cost. Naruto's chakra reserves were just half in comparison to a regular Uzumaki, and he had problems performing ninjutsu for more than a few hours continuously. If he ever completely masters his dark powers, I don't think he'll even need ninjutsu in the first place, thought Nagato secretly. The Uzukage had personally cared for Naruto during his initial years, for there were incidents when Naruto got angry, and the damage his uncontrollable powers caused was immense. But instead of seeing him as a threat, the wise Uzukage taught Naruto how to control his powers. It was still a work in progress, and Nagato had seen the remains of those slaughtered Konoha Anbu. A live proof of what could happen if Naruto ever lost control. Still, the things a sane and in control Naruto could do were simply amazing. It was this reason alone that their team had performed several assassination missions despite being young in age. Nagato, stop moving, hissed Naruto. The sudden command made the younger boy stop instantly. He grimaced when he saw two tall Hyuga standing guard outside the entrance. They were strangely wearing regular Junin uniforms instead of Anbu clothes, and had their Byakugans active. They can see us, whispered Nagato in panic. Not if you stay still. The shadow mist I created around you can hide your form even from the Byakugan, but it won't stop those sharp Hyuga to spot the movements you make, like rustling of leaves, or the sound of footsteps we make on the grass, explained Naruto irritatedly. Nagato nodded obediently. He was a capable Chunin, but challenging a Hyuga's alertness was inviting too much trouble. Besides, Akeno had repeatedly warned him over the years not to argue with Naruto. Especially when he was using his dark powers, it could lead to very dangerous situations. The fact that Naruto's left eye had turned completely red and was slit now was itself a large enough warning sign. And a visible proof of the effects the Kyuubi chakra's corruption in Naruto's body. So how do we get past them? Without making movements or sound? Asked Nagato, hoping Naruto had some solution. He regretted asking it, when he saw Naruto smiling sinisterly. Watch. That was all Naruto said before extending his right hand forward. A cold, icy look appeared in his eyes as he pointed his finger toward the Hyuga standing on the right side. Dajuryogen, dark illusions. At first nothing happened, but 2 minutes later, the targeted Hyuga deactivated his Byakugan much to the surprise of his comrade. Nagato saw Naruto grit his teeth and tightly clench his fist. Ken? Asked the other unaffected Hyuga. His fellow clansman was definitely not feeling well. I'm fine, Yamada, replied Ken calmly, receiving a nod from his concerned partner. Relieved, Yamada turned back towards his spot only to feel something sharp piercing his throat. Barely reactivating his Byakugan, he was able to see the attack had come from none other than Ken, who remained stoic even as he plunged another kunai into his clansman's heart. Yamada collapsed. Ken quickly dragged his dead partner to the nearby bushes, created a shallow grave and tossed the body inside. He then performed a simple water jutsu, thereby wiping out the blood stains on the ground. Nagato saw beads of sweat roll off Naruto's forehead. That move was definitely taking a toll on his friend. The twisted Hyuga then came forward and knelt before an invisible figure. How many people are in the base? Whispered Naruto in a rough, tired voice. 25, my lord, replied the Hyuga blankly. I see. Where are the captured Uzumaki children? Asked Naruto. I don't know, replied the Hyuga, making Naruto frown disappointedly. What do you mean? Asked Naruto bitterly, as Nagato got a brief idea as to what could be happening here. Who is the commander of this base? Asked Nagato suddenly. The Hyuga stared blankly into nothingness but didn't give any answer. Nagato looked towards Naruto. Answer him, slave, commanded Naruto. Yes, master. This is not a base, but a private research laboratory of Konoha. Its current head is Orochimaru, confessed the Hyuga. Nagato, have you ever heard of a ninja with this name? Asked Naruto seriously. No. He must be a rising ninja. Which rank does this Orochimaru hold? Asked Nagato quickly. Junin. Is he inside the base? Asked Naruto darkly. If this Orochimaru had even harmed a single hair of his clansmen, then his fate would be even worse. Not at the moment, but he will be here soon, said the Hyuga honestly. Very well. Go back to your post and act normal, commanded Naruto. The Hyuga nodded and went away quickly. Nagato instantly turned towards his friend, 100 questions floating in his eyes. But he summed all of them up in 7 words. How the fuck did you do that? Asked Nagato, only to receive a sharp look from his friend. Later. I can't control this Hyuga for long, let's infiltrate the base. You clear on what we have to do? Asked Naruto seriously. Yes. Noise discipline is necessary, agreed Nagato, as a grin came on his friend's face which actually made him look more scary than reassuring. Let's kick them in the balls. Naruto swiftly ran through the dark corridors of the base, with Nagato just a few steps behind him. Even he had to admit, whomever built this place had quite creepy tastes and was fond of puzzles. If not for his sensory powers, he doubted he would ever be able to get to his captured comrades without getting lost. And he had to finish his objectives in a limited time window, without getting caught. Pretty tall order for a Chunin present deep inside enemy lines. But he had to do it regardless of the odds. Leaving comrades behind was not his way of working, especially not innocent children. And he would rather face damnation to hell than let Akeno rot in such a creepy place full of Konoha scum. He saw a young female dressed in a lab coat exit from one of the rooms, her expression cold and uncaring. Without hesitating, the Azu Chunin who was leaning from the ceiling hidden by dark shadows lurched down. Naruto's small, sharp tanto pierced through the woman's throat, thereby suppressing any scream she could have made. Nagato had already made his move, and before the woman or the erupting blood from her body could hit the ground, the younger Uzumaki sealed her body in the red liquid inside a scroll. The sealed scroll was now tightly placed back in a bag which Nagato was carrying on his back. The entire ordeal was over before it even began, with no trace left of the woman or how swiftly she was assassinated. Naruto turned towards his partner and communicated his intended message through practiced hand signals. My shadow cloaks will only last for an hour or less. The jutsu cast on the Hyuga not more than 45 minutes. We need to speed up, conveyed Naruto silently. Understood. Maybe you should have killed the last Hyuga guard, suggested Nagato, through his own hand signs. No guards protecting the base would have raised instant suspicion if some Konoha ninja or Orochimaru stumbled across. Had to play safe, suggested Naruto. Then let's make it count fast, replied Nagato. Agreed. As they moved through the base, they spotted various labs equipped with state-of-the-art machinery and several pods. It only made the two Azu Chunin further worried about the fate of their people. Yet they had come too far to turn back now. Naruto quickly raised his hand when they came across a room. Nagato instantly took up position on the opposite side. Take out the mute charge, we finish 'em all in 10 seconds, instructed Naruto, his hand signs making his friend understand the plan. Nagato nodded. Taking out a special seal from his pouch, he strapped it on the metal door. Inside the room they could feel at least 20 human signatures, mostly civilian with few possessing chakra. The seal glowed for a second as Nagato gave a thumbs up to his teammate. The mute charge was one of the latest developments of the Uzumaki war machine. It was capable enough to prevent any sound waves to exit across 100 yards from where it was placed. Naruto gave a chakra-powered kick to the door. Nagato followed the move by tossing several smoke bombs inside simultaneously. Still concealed in their shadow cloaks, the boys stealthily entered the room and took up position by the only door that provided exit outside. As expected, the scientists, now surrounded by smoke, quickly ran towards the exit, where Naruto lay waiting for them with a sharp tanto. Nagato didn't hesitate for a slightest moment this time as Naruto started mercilessly killing every person that approached towards him. The older Uzumaki, still concealed in the shadows, started brutally murdering the people, his short tanto moving in a mesmerizing dance. Showers of blood and severed heads erupted. The people screamed, but nobody heard the terrified voices. It was as if sound itself had been sucked out into vacuum, and more horrifying was the fact that something invisible was slicing them up one by one. Nagato was slowly following behind Naruto, sealing up the dead bodies and blood stains across the floor and the walls. While also watching his friend's back, Not that he needed to, because most of these people were simple scientists and a few guards. All of whom met a gruesome end by Naruto's tanto, except for one which the boy was now holding by the throat. Somehow that sick scene made Nagato smile. There was nothing in the world which was more interesting than watching a man being held in the air by an invisible force. Where are the children and Akeno? Asked Naruto darkly. Who? The man screamed when Naruto jammed a sharp kunai straight through his balls. I ask the questions, you answer. Where are they? Asked Naruto bitterly. The bleeding scientist pointed a shaky finger towards a set of stairs inside the room that were descending below. Nagato had to restrain himself from ending this sick man. Are there any other escape routes apart from the main entrance? Don't lie or the next sharp weapon goes through your neck, warned Naruto. There's a secret exit inside. The main lab below on the far right corner, whispered the scientist. Good, commended Naruto. Please. Let me go. I have kids, pleaded the middle-aged man. So are those children whom you are experimenting upon just expendable? Nagato, will you do the honors? Asked Naruto distastefully. With great speed, Nagato beheaded the man, and before his body or the blood could even hit the floor, all of it was sealed inside a scroll by Nagato. The entire room was now empty, with no signs of a small massacre ever happening. No bodies, no blood, no evidence. It was as if a ghost had stumbled across the base and made everything vanish. Without wasting any more time, the two boys quickly descended downwards through the series of long stairs. Nagato felt extremely relieved when Naruto dispelled the shadows that had been concealing their presence so far. That was after they had murdered the two guards and two scientists inside the room. Following up by sealing the bodies and blood, thereby eliminating any trace of their existence. But the satisfied feeling had not lasted when they saw all the Uzumaki children sealed into water tanks that were full of some greenish liquid. Naruto was panting harshly. The sheer exhaustion he felt on using even a tiny fraction of his power was immense. Yet all he could feel right now was horror on seeing his clansmen in such conditions. He literally ran forward when he spotted Akeno sealed on the fourth tank from the left. Naruto placed a trembling hand on the glass, worriedly observing the sleeping form of his teammate and best friend. We need to get him out, said Nagato quickly, as he made his way towards a table where several notes were laid. When he didn't receive any response from his friend, he turned back and saw a grim-looking expression arriving on his friend's face. What's the matter? Asked Nagato hesitantly. Naruto didn't reply at first, as he moved towards the stairs, only stopping at the first step and turning back towards Nagato. Someone's coming. I am going to investigate, you get our people out quickly, instructed Naruto. But, argued Nagato. Not now, Nagato. Just do it, please, requested Naruto, his eyes still darting towards Akeno's floating form. All right, but I want you back here in 5, and do not engage anybody else. We have spilled enough blood for today, warned Nagato sternly, making Naruto smirk. Yes, Grandma, said Naruto sarcastically. He had to duck down when Nagato sent a kunai his way. Laughing a little, Naruto quickly made his way upstairs and also picked up the kunai Nagato had thrown towards him, not wanting to leave any evidence at all. The smile he had previously shown to Nagato only to be replaced by a sudden worried expression. The sound of footsteps echoed through the empty halls. Naruto lay hanging from the ceiling of the floor, his body concealed by his shadows. His hawk-like eyes keenly fixed on the entrance of the corridor. He had definitely felt a powerful chakra signature approaching their location. And judging from the rapid manner in which it was closing down on their position, only left one possibility. They had been exposed. Naruto couldn't understand how that could happen, nor did he have time to think about the loophole. His thoughts were disrupted when a tall person emerged from the shadows. Before the person could even set foot on the trap Naruto had set, he stopped. A sinister chuckle escaped from the person's lips, as a pair of sinister-looking eyes opened up in the darkness of the corridor. Kakuku. I know you're there. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.